All right, guys, here we are. Episode 2. Episode 1 was really good, wasn't it, Doug?
I had a good time, yeah.
You have a good one
It
out
was
of that?
good. Fun to watch, too.
So just to let everybody know, this, like I said, is episode 2. We had episode 1. It was about my neighborhood, Doug's neighborhood. Today is going to be back to our childhood. And it's going to be titled Christian Park. Back in the day when I was a kid, and just a lot of good things in memories and things like that we're going to discuss. But this week we don't have Mark or Curtis, but I still got my best buddy here, Bobby Douglas Jones.
Straight from Florida. Just got here.
Straight from Florida. And you know, Doug, I was telling you that
Ed McMahon.
there was 2 guys that I had no problem whatsoever that I felt strongly I had to have on this podcast, but I couldn't come up with a third because there's just so many kids and people. But I said, you know what, I'll just have Doug back because Doug's got experience. He'll help me out.
Right.
But the other 2 guys I've got a lot of respect for, like I do Curtis and the rest of you. But one is Kasey Branham, right over here to my left. Just a legend and a big inspiration to me. And before we really get into it, one thing I want to say about Kasey is, and with all due respect, there's so many good ball players and kids and people that come out of Christian Park, but I kind of hang my hat on three kids back in the day that I really am impressed and thankful that I can say I played with these 3 guys, which I played with a lot, Scott being one, and he's a legend in his own right too. Right.
Well,
but the 3 was...
I would be a legend, but Gannon held me back.
I know. But it's Kasey, obviously, Mark Hubbard, and Kyle Mattingly. And I just think, man, I got to play with those 3 guys, and that was huge for me even now today. And then I got Slab here, and everybody knows Scott. I mean, Fisher's finest.
That's right.
Fisher's finest.
That's right. Hey, before we go any further, I'd like to say one thing. I'd like to dedicate this episode, if you don't mind, to a guy who played at Christian Park for years. Kasey probably knew him better than a lot of us because he went to school with him for several years at St. Bernadette. But this guy died in the line of duty 30 years ago this week, or last week, I'm sorry, working for Indianapolis Fire Department. So I think we should dedicate this podcast to Johnny Lorenzano.
I remember Johnny. Played on the Braves.
Yeah, I mean, what I remember about him, he's always a nice guy. He was always smiling and nice
Always
guy.
had a smile on his face, always.
Yeah, he did.
But I do think I like to dedicate
It's
this.
not a problem. Let's do it. Let's
All right,
dedicate
Johnny
it. Right
Lorenzano.
there.
Dedicated to you, John.
Yeah, Johnny Lorenzano. I mean, like I said, I played against him in baseball, but me and Bobby and Kasey got a year of that CYO St. Bernard High School basketball team with him. But he was just, like I said, always a nice guy. Comes from a great family. I mean, all his brothers played at Christian Park.
You talk about family, you talk about great people, and I totally agree with you. Great kid, great person, and you're right. Always a smile. But, back when we were kids, there were a lot of good parents that made not only our neighborhood great, Doug, but made Christian Park so special. And I wrote down a few of these names. I just want to mention some people. Mr. St. Martin.
My coach for 3 years on the Indians. And Kasey.
All 3 of you played on the
that's
Indians.
right. Bobby, that's right. My first year.
Yep.
Mr. and Mrs. Ransom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Coach Fred Kane.
Love Fred.
Mr. Wagner.
Yeah, who just passed away about a couple weeks ago, was
Yes.
it?
Yeah, great man.
Legendary in Little League community.
Legendary in Little League. So was St.
For
Martin,
the
and
state,
so was Ransom.
Yeah, but I know Mr. Wagner, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I know his son Ricky did, but I think he umpired in the Little League World
He
Series.
may have.
Yeah, I think
they
he
were
did
all
too.
big in the district.
Yeah, and very, very huge in Indiana Little League baseball umpiring.
Yes. Mrs. Taylor.
Yeah.
She did a lot more. I do a lot of youth baseball. You guys know that now. And I look back at these people I'm naming now, and I just have such a respect. Because you don't realize as a kid what behind the scenes is happening to make sure we can play ball.
Because I believe she was like head of the women's auxiliary for a few years. And I
her
think,
husband was president
yeah,
one year.
and then
Ryan
my
was dad.
my mom, I think, became the women's head of the women's auxiliary at the Little League.
And
for a
your
couple
mom and
years.
dad's on this list too.
Ran the concession stand,
Mr.
stuff
and
like
Mrs.
that for
Kelh.
years. Yeah.
Mr. Mincer. Mr. Malott.
Yeah.
I love Mr. Noggle.
Hey, babe. How you doing, babe? I've got
Nogs.
some novel stories, so
Yeah.
great stories.
Hank Irons.
My
Hank and Iva.
first real coached me in football and baseball there at Christian Park.
Mr. and Mrs. Adair.
Who can't would never forget Teddy.
Teddy.
He was in his own little world, and
So's little Teddy.
Mr. and Miss Eaststep.
Yep.
Mr. and Miss Giles. Miss Hancock, Todd's mom. She did an awful lot. A major influence on me as I was growing up was Doug's mom and dad. I mean, that was a second mom and dad to me. Boy, Mary saved my butt numerous times.
Clark forklift truck.
Exactly.
Still in the driveway.
Right.
Mr. and Miss
32
Meat.
years.
Yep.
Mr. and Miss Yules.
oh, Jackie 6-pack.
Mr. Miss Oaks. Like I said, your mom and dad, they were big. And then, obviously I'm not going to get out of here without saying John Gannon.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, you left somebody off big,
and I was going to ask you guys to help me. 'cause I-
big influence in me in Little League. And I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here and your family's all out there, but your dad. I mean, your dad is. If you had to pick like who would be the all-time Mr. Christian Park, your dad would be in the running, in my opinion.
Yeah, Curtis was awful kind our last episode about
I
my
mean,
dad.
yeah, your dad was all about the kids. It didn't matter if you was playing on the Giants or Indians because he showed me I was bunting wrong.
He did, I remember.
I think it was we always have the scrimmage games before the season start, and I was trying to bunt, and he says, "Young man, you're doing it wrong." And he'd show me how to hold the. I think I was 10 years old, first time in majors, and he'd show me how to hold the bat to bunt, and he wasn't even my coach.
I've got one. Your father knew that I came from a single parent family. I'm the youngest of 5. Just my mother was, obviously our caretaker, and he knew she struggled to, have the money to let me play Little League and stuff like that. So I couldn't tell you how many times, whether I had a good game or a bad game, he'd still put his arm around me, tell me how much he loved me, that Jesus loved me. But the next time I talk back to my coach, he's going to crack me in the ass just like he was my dad or anybody else. And you know what? I needed that. I needed that.
What? Kasey Branham. I say it every time I see you.
It rhymes. It's like something your dad would do.
He would always say that to you every time he's seen you.
I loved your dad as if he was my own.
And that name I like throwing the parents go up. I didn't mean to cut anybody off. To me, Christian Park 2 was when I showed up on my bike, didn't matter who was playing, they were sitting under the pine trees in their lawn chairs, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you're right.
They were always there. It didn't matter if Alan was playing or not. They always sat. They were both retired.
They supported the league.
They were a little bit old. They were a little bit older than a lot of the parents when they had, Alan. So they were both retired. You come in there, and I just remember one of the first things I'd say, I'd ride my bike and say, "How you doing, Mr. and Mrs. Nelson?"
You're
They'd
right.
say, "Hi, slab," and I'd go park my bike and then go off and be an idiot for a while.
Mr. and Mrs. Parrish.
Yeah, oh yes, Mr. Parrish.
Yep.
Yeah,
They were huge.
Yeah,
they were huge. Well, I know we got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I want to start one off if it's okay. It's the Mike McCarty story. And, we was fortunate enough, a couple of years back, we got to play that big wiffle ball game over at Christian Park, and Mike was there, and I pulled him to the side, and I said, "Hey, Mike, I got to ask you a question." He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" And I said, "Tell me if this happened." He goes, "Well, what?" I said, "You was up to bat in the game. I was 10. You was 12, obviously. And I said, you was up to bat. And I said, some guy walked to the top of the hill at the very top, and he caught your eye. You stepped out of the box, pointed up to him, and pointed over the fence like Babe Ruth. And the next pitch, you hit the ball out of the park." I said, "Now, Mike, you hit line drives. I remember numerous times just lining that thing right off the fence, making it sing." I said, who was that?" He goes, "Bobby." He goes, "That was my dad." He goes, "And that was the only time ever that my dad seen me play." And you remember Mike. Mike wasn't known for home runs. But I remember, I said, "Did that happen, or is it I'm just dreaming that?" He goes, "That happened." He goes, "You remember that right." So, but I mean, if we was to take a vote, me, hands down, across the board athlete, I didn't see too many better than him. I mean, we had a lot of talented kids, but he was special.
As a true athlete, yes. I mean, there wasn't anything he couldn't pick up and couldn't do. Football, basketball, baseball. Actually, I think basketball was probably his best.
Oh yeah, why did he average like 20-some a game when?
As a freshman.
Yeah, varsity.
Unheard
Just
of,
incredible.
you know?
Just incredible.
But get back to my McCarty story.
Okay, go ahead.
My first year in majors, I was me, Bobby, and we were all in the Indians together and playing against
Yeah,
the Giants.
I was teasing Doug. I think this is going to call this Christian Park Indians.
Yeah, this is I remember I was playing left field. It's my first year in majors. I was one of the young ones because I was 9. I hadn't even turned 10 yet when that season started. And I remember the major league field had the fence that was real low before
Right.
they built the 10-foot high
Yeah.
fence. It was like a 6-foot fence or lower. And I remember I was playing left field. Mike McCarty hit this shot, and I ran it back. And I remember I reached over the fence and caught it. And I remember him coming up second base. He pointed at me and goes, "I'm getting you after the game." I was scared to death. I remember as soon as the game was over, I ran to the concession stand because my mom was working there and went in there and stood there the rest of the day. I wouldn't leave. It was a Saturday. We had like a 9 o'clock game. I had all the rest of the day to play. I wouldn't leave. So I thought he was going to get me.
Casey, I'm going to give you an opportunity just to clean this up and clear this up to everybody. And
It was
Christian.
me.
Was it you?
It was me.
So you already know the question.
Yes, I do.
The ball goes over right field, and for years, I personally think it's Kyle.
It was me.
What happened?
Again, too big for my britches, I believe. Game wasn't going the way I thought it should be going. I think I'm the only one that's doing what needs to be done, and somebody had gotten a hit.
It was like a one-run game. What going your way?
I was the prima donna. What can I
No,
say?
I'm going to tell you something about that. I knew that was going to get brought up. All right? Casey and Kyle, Manley, they had this rivalry in baseball. Casey just wanted to destroy Kyle, and Kyle wanted to destroy Casey. They were friends, and our teams were good. Both at that, our 11, 12-year-old, was top 2 teams. And I just remember it was so intense between them two. You remember Kyle bouncing the baseball off
Never missed a beat.
off the mound, getting, and it was like a one-run game, and, Casey throwing the ball over the fence, letting a run come in, and it was just like intense. Because, like Hubbard was on that team, Mark Hubbard, me and him ran real close and did a lot of things together. So everybody had like personal stake in this game. You had like it was us, Indians, Giants, and Braves were the 3 teams that just
Year in and year
yeah,
out.
just knocking each other out. And them games were intense for 11 and 12-year-old games. I
Well, I
if I
remember-
made an error, I was worried about Casey getting me in the dugout.
It got so intense one year, and we needed you guys to knock the Braves off. And McCarty gave Doug his mitt, told him to use it, and Doug had to pitch. Your time was up. You couldn't pitch. And he had to pitch, and McCarty's like, "Hey, man, is that right, Doug?"
Yeah, yep. Well, actually, my webbing had come apart,
Oh, okay.
so I needed a glove, and he was like, "Here, take mine." Hell, I don't know. Somehow the magic rubbed off on me. So I had a pretty good 3 innings there, so we ended up beating the Braves.
That's huge.
Yeah.
There were some intense rivals. You look back at them teams. Me and Bobby was talking about this. Every team, even the last place team. I think that first year I was in the majors, we were last place, the Indians. Then we were second place the next 2 years. But every one of them teams had at least 4 to 5 guys. A 6-team league. There was at least 30 kids in that league that played some level of high school baseball. Think about it. Kate, I hate to say this, but give Casey, some props here because
You don't hate to say it. You
just drive me crazy because I can see his head getting bigger and bigger right now. We're
Wait a
gonna
minute,
give
I'm
some.
keeping my stats.
Yeah,
my
you
hat,
got to
okay?
check his stats on his hat and make sure I'm getting it right. But like Casey, led the city in home runs his senior year in high school.
It's pretty good.
You got Kyle Manley. I think he pitched a little college ball at Marion, didn't he?
Yep.
May have.
You got Bobby Haney was a 3-year varsity player at Tech. You had guys, Hubbard, 3 years varsity. You had guys that played 3 and 4 year,
Hubbard was 4.
Yeah, Hubbard did play
Hubbard's 4 year
He
varsity.
was the only freshman as a starter in any varsity sport.
But you remember McCarty made varsity as a freshman.
Well,
but
you remember back in our day, it was just you didn't. Freshmen, no matter how
No
good they
such
were,
thing.
you're not playing varsity. Not as a freshman.
No.
But you remember McCarty made. You guys remember McCarty made varsity as a freshman, but they were going to play him second base, and he went and played short, so he quit.
I didn't know that.
That's what I was
didn't
told.
either.
I mean, that's what they told. I've heard. I was told back in the day. But every team had play. Like the Giants had Greg Coward. This dude went to Riverfront Stadium.
Do you
and
know
hit-
that story?
I don't know the story. I just know he won a home run derby
Well, here's
contest
what
because he wasn't even
happened.
supposed to be in it.
He was being scouted by the Reds. Myself and Kyle Mattingly, and even Monty Hammonds from Community and Howe at the time, we went to the open tryout for the Cincinnati Reds. Of course, we all think we're going to make it. Well, our biggest mistake was thinking we're all pitchers, even though we were in Little League and high school. That still doesn't mean you're ready for the next level. So, of course, we don't get to hang around or anything. Greg Coward, who's a year below us, big 6 foot whatever, 200 whatever, big lefty. He ends up being asked to stay to play in a practice game with all the people that the Reds, scouts had stay. Struck out 9 guys. They later on invited him to another type of meeting or tryout at Riverfront Stadium. While he happened to be there, there was a Midwest high school home run hitting competition there. And they said, why don't you jump on in? Okay. He won.
Wow.
And he's a pitcher. So I'm like,
He threw
my
about
goodness.
90 in high scholl. That was unheard of back when we played.
Well, you remember what he pitched against you guys, Kasey. He came out. Maybe it was my senior year. You had just left. He comes out, throws against Howe. Howe just rocks him. I mean, jumped out on us. We're down. We're like, oh shit. Brian Morse comes in and just starts throwing curveballs. We end up winning the game. But you remember our 12-year-old year too in All Stars.
Yeah.
Community rocked him. But you're right. He had a lot of talent. He was throwing in the 90s. You're right.
And so you got Greg Coward on the Giants. I'll just go by my 11 and 12-year-old team. We got Kasey, but after Kasey went up to seniors, we had Craig Mester. Wasn't he like his number 2?
He was
on
number
Tech?
two.
Number 2.
Him and Hurt.
And Mark Hurt was on the Yankees. So you got 3 varsity pitchers that pitched for Tech that were successful in our 6-team league. And that's not counting, we got Kevin Long pitched in the high school level. I mean, I think, Danny Adair was a couple years behind, but he ended up pitching in high
Right.
school.
Mm-hmm.
I
You
mean,
obviously had Kasey and Kyle.
yeah, I mean, you had, David Jackson was a good pitcher. I mean, there was a lot
Some
of
good talent. Let me tell you Greg Coward's story real quick. He's on our team. He's 12 years old. And it's our first practice. Dad hits a shot out to right field. Goes to the fence. Coward runs back, picks it up. But before he picks it up, he throws his mitt off.
wrong
Yeah.
glove.
Yeah.
Throws a shot all the way home on a rope.
He had a right hand, like a right hand thrower's glove on.
Dad goes running out there, runs past me, and I'm going, where's he going? Runs always out to Coward. I follow him. He goes, son, I couldn't help to notice you threw your mitt off. Threw that ball way in. He goes, my dad just died. He goes, and that's the only mitt I had. Dad spins around the whole team. He's hit one ball. Practice is over. I said, what do you mean practice is over? He goes, we're going to Kmart. went and got him a mitt.
Because he was throwing right-handed. You guys didn't,
Yeah.
because you didn't want him to draft him.
Well,
did
Rick
you?
Weaver ended up having to catch him, and Rick was left too. But,
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, me and Rick was probably the only two who could probably catch him. I mean, he was just bullets, man.
And then if you didn't go against Coward for the Giants, and you come a guy threw just as hard. But, I mean, he was the true nucleus of the Little League with old Johnny Query.
Yep.
You never knew. That ball hit you in the side of the helmet.
How'd Mark say that, Doug? K-time, buh.
K-time,
buh.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
You remember that? Remember his brother would sit outside the fence, keep the
Yes,
book?
yes.
K-time, buh.
Yeah, man, he threw hard. He was a lefty, but he was wild.
So was Coward.
Yeah, but I don't know. Coward had a little more
Well,
control.
once we got to big league, I was catching, and it was my 18-year-old year, and it was when Greg was allowed to play with us for a short time because Eastside didn't have a team.
Right.
But then he had to switch teams. Do you remember that right in the middle
Yeah.
of the season?
I don't remember that, but I can
We're
see
playing
that.
at Indiana Central college when it was called that at the time, playing the Indiana Central Little League team. And I'm catching, and it's about the 3rd or 4th inning. He's really getting wild, and the ball's bouncing around, and the umpire goes, you got your cup on, don't you? I go, yeah, we're all good. Timeout. I ran to the dugout because I didn't have my cup on, and he's getting wild, so I had to go do what I had to do, and then come back out, and the umpire goes, "Yeah, I thought you'd do that," because they were in the dirt and everywhere. And you talk about trying to control that. Woo.
Another Greg Coward story. And this will get into some other things too once I tell the story. Fish fry was always a big, big deal. We talked about this earlier. Mr. Ransom's umping. Starts the game. Can't get Greg's attention. Walks out to the mound.
Hey, I want to stop you right there. Let's build the audience up to this. Fish fry was huge.
Yes, it was.
I mean, on Friday night, they'd have like an all-star game, like in-season all-star game. You know, everybody got, whoever made the team got the little stars in their hats. We'd play a little practice game on Friday night. Well, the next day, you had regular games, but all the kids, I mean, there had to be 100
Easy.
would stay up all night at this little league with maybe a couple parents. And one of the guys who was watching us was probably like 19, Jet Boomer, Gannon. You know, he was a better kid than all of us. So, I mean, he was probably telling us to do things we shouldn't be doing. But anyway, we would be up all night, no sleep, and then had to play games, you know, in 90-degree heat on a Saturday. And there you go. Start the story there.
So, Mr. Ransom walks out to the mound, looks over at Gannon and goes, "Hey, John, your pitcher's asleep." He's actually standing and sleeping. John walks out, looks at him and goes, "Yep, he's asleep." Been up all night, like you said.
All night. We'd be up all night, you know, running crazy on that. You know, even what was great about that Christian Park, because I grew up right across the street from Christian Park. My grade school was called Christian Park, 82. You know, the football field, community center. So not the Little League is a big part, but the whole park is my life. I mean, all my good memories. I just remember, I lost track of what I was going to say.
Can you imagine if we would have had the community center that they have now?
Oh, yeah. That was nice.
Because we had the little bitty building.
Right.
And that we just flood that.
The out of bounds was the wall.
And you get burned on the burn on the heaters.
Well, I remember. Okay, I'm gonna jump back. What I was gonna say is made me forget what I was gonna talk about. Oh no, because it was such a big community. Even after we were older, like in high school, 17, 18, you were kind of done with baseball. You still came down to the park. You'd see people, guys, or nothing to do with Little League or anything, but they'd come by every now and then. It was like you'd go down there, you'd always see somebody you knew. Didn't matter what age and where we're at. That's what I always loved about Christian Park, because the younger kids, when I was younger, and Kasey probably even knows more about it because he had older brothers, but like when I was 9 years old, the guys who were 14, 15, and 16 playing senior league and big league, them were gods to me. They were like...
Yes.
Now, Kasey, what year did Christian Park actually start? Do you know? You're kind of our archives. You got a lot of history there. Was it 59?
It was around that time.
It was in the 50s.
And I know Scott's dad used to coach, was it the late 60s or so and everything? But, what Scott had to say, we're all our own generation. And I'm like he had mentioned about my older brothers, I'm the youngest of 5 in our family. I had 3 brothers and a sister. But my oldest brother, he played baseball in the big league in the senior league back when they were named after like airplanes of the bombers, the jets, the missiles, and the rockets. Those were the name of the teams. Well, my brother was on a team with Bob McLean and Pat Lepper and John Gannon. I mean, these guys, you talk about, these were the gods, when we were 8, 9 years old or 7 years old. And that's how I got to know John Gannon from way back then. Then you had another, same generation, but another group right after that. You had the Joe Beniotes, the Rob Fosters, the Todd Rockies, the Johnny Wagners, the Sergio Gonzalez's. There's a whole nother group, of that our same generation, but and then we had the next group, the Mark Hubbards, the Mike McCartys, the Bobby Haneys, the Scott Kelhs, the Bobby Joneses. Then you had that. So we, as a generation, we had different factions of the generations, but I'm like, oh my God, it was good, better, and best. It kept getting better.
But what made it great, the older guys, like we're 15 years old playing, we knew the 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds.
Oh, yeah.
We'd go watch them play. Everybody just hung at the park. That was it. That was great. I mean, we'd go down there to watch E-Step play, everybody, people don't know about Chris E-Step. He was college All-American, everything else, but when he's 12 years old, you just shocked when he didn't hit a home run. So.
You said something to me the other day that I really didn't realize, especially back in just the different coaches that came. I didn't know all those guys you was mentioning, like the Chittard coach and. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Christian Park, the guys who played sports at Christian Park, we're talking baseball, football, a lot of them went to public school at 82 or St. Bernard in that little Christian Park neighborhood there. How many high school coaches we got and state champion high school coaches we got?
Chris Estep,
Chris
Vince
Estep.
Lorenzano.
Yeah, you got Chris Estep was a baseball state champion, and Vince Lorenzano won numerous state
Guitar
championships.
football.
Sean McGinley, numerous
Sean McGinley for
wrestling state championships. Then you had Danny Archer won a state championship with Chittard basketball.
Wow.
You had Boyd. Well, he grew up in there, but he was a Lowell boy. But he played baseball at Lowell, but he grew up in Christian Park too.
Yeah.
But
He's one of our guys.
he coached softball at Westfield. I did like freshman softball coach, softball at Fishers. Bobby here coaches at Tech. I think Bruce Shadow used to coach some football, didn't he? Like Emmanuel or somewhere like that.
Yeah, he used to coach some. Yes.
I mean, just the guys that's from that little, section of a neighborhood. How many guys went on in the sports and later on, were successful coaches. It's pretty neat. That little.
It was a lot of cool, neat people. I mean, one that just hit my mind. He's on my list here, and I forgot to name him, and I can't believe it. I had the utmost respect for Mr. Weaver. He was like a second dad, like
Bob
Mr.
Weaver.
Jones. Yeah, I mean, a lot of life lessons. A lot of times when I was in trouble, took me under his wing and helped me, and just that era and those people, man, they were just so special. Yeah. And I mean, we had a lot of good ball players. I mean, we was naming them just in our neighborhood, and it didn't include your guys' neighborhood or the other neighborhoods that fed into Christian Park. But you have to admit, and I know I said this last time about our neighborhood, I'm partial and all that, and I know I'm partial about Christian Park, but it's just really hard for me to believe all these other little leagues was as special as ours.
No.
We had the setting, and I mean, I'm sure there was some good little leagues out there and good times and stuff, but
What's
just
even more
something
amazing?
about-
We're all still together.
we
all still see each other. We all still talk to each other, whether it's in person or social media or the big block party every summer that hundreds and hundreds of people go to. You don't see that in a lot of other communities. I couldn't tell you. I live on the south side now. I couldn't tell you how many people that I meet. And, hey, where'd you go to school? You always start the conversation like that. Yeah, I went to Hal. Oh, isn't that where they have that great big reunion every year? People everywhere else know about it. So that's our little tiny, part of the world, but everybody knows about
Well,
us.
this shows how we all stayed together all these years. I think I met Bobby when I was like 6 or 7. Probably met you when I was about 10. Same with you, about 9 or 10. But was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? I posted something on Facebook, some kid pitching a wiffle ball.
Yep.
Bobby says, man, it'd be great to play wiffle ball. Everybody goes, it'd be great to play wiffle ball.
Well,
again.
what got me going was that picture you put on Facebook or somebody put on
then
Facebook.
I put that picture of me and Bobby. I think
Hubbard, Danny Adair,
Freddie
Scott
Nino.
Bandy.
It was after an all-star practice, Christian Art Baseball. We went to Hubbard's
That's a
front
great
yard,
picture.
just did like a team picture being stupid playing wiffle ball. Well, we decided, let's get a wiffle ball game up. And turned out to be granted, we had some guys from Irvington Little League, which we spanked their butts in the championship. Let's put that out there. But we had like 40 people there playing, and I bet we had 40 people watching. We had Mrs. Taylor.
You must have went to public school because your math is way off. We probably had several hundred people there total for the whole day.
You think so?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Now, if you could,
Bobby had a food truck there.
I didn't. It just happened.
We
had a beer truck
We had a
there,
beer truck.
remember? We had a beer truck
That's
there.
why we invited Irvington. They brought the beer, But it was.
if you could say one word about that day, what would that word be, Kasey?
I would say family.
What would you say, Scott?
just perfect.
What about you, Doug?
Fun.
My word is magical.
Yeah.
That was a magical day. And right after COVID, and everybody's wanting to get out, and we just came together like we were still kids.
Yeah. And you had like old coaches.
Fred King.
Yeah, I mean,
Mark
you know,
Malott was there.
well, Mrs.
Malott, yep.
Mrs. Taylor was there. I mean,
Mrs.
you know,
Taylor
she
was
was
there.
what,
Pat.
probably pushing 90. I'm not sure how old Pat is, but
She had a
came
blast,
here
too.
and she used to watch all us when we were like 6, 7, 8 years old playing baseball. Now she's watching us play wiffle ball. And I mean, it was,
And we brought Mike McCarty out of the cobwebs
Yeah.
for that, even.
you know, and
Yep.
it was the only time that Mark Hubbard didn't get selected to the All-Star team.
That was one of the funniest things. Scott comes walking in the dugout. Me and Hubbard sitting there
Where's
talking.
our Hubbard section of this program?
And he lets us know. He says, guys, he goes, I hate to be bearer of bad news. I'm ad libbing here a little bit. He goes, but they did name the All-Star team, and neither one of you two made it. Kasey still did, but you two didn't. What about that catch he used to have made down that line? That was bigger than any home run.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's the only one to hit the home run, too, in the game. But
Jiminy, what a catch.
Well, I was playing pitcher, and he would fire the ball into me, and I'd have to catch, when we did the pitcher's hand, and Hubbard's like, man, that was a great catch. I go, did I catch it? I couldn't even see it.
oh, it was
Jeez.
it was like I said. I know you talked about wanting to do it again. Part of me don't want to do it again because I don't think you can
top it.
top it. I think we peaked. So I mean,
think
it was
we
so
should-
perfect.
We should do it again, but maybe like this year, biannual, not an annual. That way we don't lose the luster.
Yeah, I think we can do
I think we could do that, and then this time really maybe put. We know that one of the main reasons we did it the last time was a JG thing.
Yes.
I think this time maybe do a little more emphasis on that. I mean, promote it as that maybe even, but I think everybody had a blast. I mean, even some of the girls that came to play, Julie Lyon, she's like, oh, I want to play.
Yeah.
People were just, oh yeah, let's go. We're gonna have a great time.
Yeah,
I didn't even imagine it was gonna be that good.
And I mean, there was guys I haven't seen. I mean, forever. And all of a sudden
Ralph
they were there.
Linville, diving catch.
He made a great catch.
And then he was out the rest of the game.
He's out the rest of the day. But
Yeah.
Full
I
of
got
muscle, but
Yeah.
But
that
I mean, he
fantastic.
was trying just as hard
Yeah.
right then, playing with us there. Than
Oh, it was
as he
still
did-
competitive.
Yeah.
As he did as
It
a
was
kid.
competitive and fun competitive.
His mind said I can do it, but the body said no.
and he did it.
Who was it that got to hit off Mike McCarty? And the first thing they said, because that's the first time I ever got to hit off Mike McCarty.
Was it you?
I took him. Man, McCarty didn't have nothing for me. You know that.
And Mike Vittorio wore his sister's pants. Remember? Everybody kept teasing him about that. So.
Yeah, but the Irvington boys had their matching uniforms, and they came with matching shirts, and we had to spank them, send them home like we always did. Did we ever lose to Irvington in big league or anything?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's-
Well, real quick, let's real scenario here. Here's how competitive Kasey was and Christian Park. I mean, we could be best friends and have the best time, but we're playing against each other. We didn't like each other.
I know where he's going with this.
He's going out big league, so we were like 16, 17. He goes out with Scott Bandy, Christian Park guy. They're doing whatever they're doing, having the best time. They were close buds. Well, Bandy had to play for Irvington Little League because he decided to play late, and we already had our team. So they put him on Irvington. They needed players. Playing a doubleheader on a Sunday, hotter and crap out there. Well, there's a play at the plate. Bandy's catching. Kasey's coming around third. I mean, they're just best buddies. Kasey just, hanging out with him all night. Probably stayed all night at his house. I don't know. Leveled Bandy. Bandy's glasses went. You don't remember that at Irvington? Bandy's glasses went one way. His mitt went one way. And Bandy there. Kasey got up and laughed and just walked to the dugout. I mean, and then that night, Kasey goes, "Hey, we still going out tonight."
Kasey, tell the story about Scott hitting that shot at Community. He thinks it's a home run.
I was robbed.
Well, I remember, Community was always a big rival to us, and especially at the age of 16 and 17 or so, because we went to high school with a lot of these kids that played for the other little leagues. But
Or they played for Cecina or Tech. So it was a rival.
exactly.
Everybody
So,
played against each other.
Right.
I don't remember a whole lot about, that specific, everything with that game. I remember a couple things, but I remember, we're having a pretty successful game and we're doing pretty well against them. And then Scott gets up to bat, cranks a pretty good shot out the left type center.
Everybody thought it was gone.
We all
Alan
thought
Nelson's
it was
on first, but 2 outs, so Alan's running full speed. Okay, I'm not.
Scott's running down, or I should say, jogging down first baseline with his hand up near like number one. Well, it hits the fence, so it comes short of going over. He's stuck on first with the world's longest single ever.
And Alan scores from first.
Alan scores from first. Scott's dad's one of the coaches. He's reaming him, and they're getting into it. And Scott's mom steps in, so I think you got a whole family thing there. But world's longest single.
And then I got taken out of the game, and as you remember, I didn't play the rest of the day. It was a doubleheader. That was the first game of the doubleheader. My dad was so mad.
Tell, what'd your dad tell Gannon
On which one?
about you sitting on the bench after you pulled the stunt of?
Oh, no, that was during the CYO basketball. Remember, Gannon told me I always used to shoot a hook shot.
From half court.
Well, anyway, I just shoot a high. I love the hook shot. Well,
That reminds me of that commercial.
this CYO basketball team, we were really good. I mean, we had like 5 or 6 guys played some level high school basketball, and it was a really good team. I shouldn't have been on that team, but I was this team mascot type. Yeah, give me a uniform.
You were the punchline.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was like the 12th man of an 11-man team. But I was on the team. I was Gannon Gannon would be doing. Hey, we try to do this. We do this. Run this play. And I'd be on him. Put me in, Gannon. Fans come to see me score. Put me in. I just always on Gannon. Put me in. Just getting in his ear. Just irritating Gannon. Finally, he puts me in, and he goes, "Slab, I'm putting you in." He goes, "But if you shoot that ball, that first shot better be that nasty ass hook shot. If you do not shoot that hook shot, you will not play the rest of the year." This is like the second game of the year. So we're down at Latin school. I get the ball. I mean, as soon as I got it, I was like top of the key. I mean, it'd been 3-pointer in college. I just threw up some hook shot. It was like a line drive. Hits the backboard so hard, like dust comes down from the ceiling. My dad is in the stands, jumps up. "Gannon, get his ass out of the game."
Well, didn't he tell Gannon on that hit you hit? Gannon, if you say a word, I'll take you to jail.
Oh,
Well, you told Gannon, don't
oh
quit.
yeah.
Because he took you out of the game.
Oh yeah, I thought he was talking about the basketball, but no, my dad goes, if you ever shoots a game like that, make him migrate. He's not going to play the rest of the year. And Gannon goes, "Okay, Mr. Kelh, no problem. He won't do it again."
Tell us about that same team. Doug comes walking in, hadn't been there like for 2 or 3 games. He's working a job.
Yeah.
And he gets in before you.
Oh
Is
yeah,
that- is that right?
I'm sitting there. I've been at every practice, and everything, sitting there, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of a game. There's Bobby just comes walking in. I'm like, "Oh, there's Bobby Jones." I go, "Is he even on the team?" I mean, didn't even know he was on the team. He comes in, sits there, and as soon as he sits down, "Get in, Gannon. Go in, Bobby." I'm like, "Gannon," he's always holding me back,
Right.
Just put him in there, and then Gannon finally puts me in there. I play like 30 seconds, and for some reason he wants to sub for me. I didn't want to come out. I didn't come out, so we're playing with 6 guys on the court.
For a while.
I think it might have been even worse for me because the year before that CYO team, I was on the team and Kyle Mattingly's dad coached. Yeah. I averaged like 8 points a game. That next year when I played with Gannon as the coach, I only took 8 shots the whole season because Slab got all the shots. Half court hook. I was only on the team to give fouls.
Fans come to see me
John
score.
Conn-
You know what I mean? Fans came to see me score. But
Remember we started a game at Our Lady of Mount Carmel with a technical?
oh yeah.
Because Jeff Sutner got above the rim but in pregame warm-up, so that's a technical in Carmel.
Or you remember? Okay, I know this is not Christian Park Lily, but all these guys were Christian Park boys. All right.
Yeah.
We were playing against this one game, and this guy was getting the best of Jeff Sutner. Just getting the best of him. So Sutner's getting pissed. Jeff Sutner gets the rebound, hands it to the guy so he could try to block a shot. And the guy brought it up and he blocked his shot and fouled. Well, he got a tech, unsportsmanlike, and everything went bad. Well, we got called down to the CYO office. They were thinking about not letting us finish the season because we made a big mockery and a big scuffle broke out on that. So we're down at the CYO office at the old Latin school.
Mm-hmm.
Remember there, and Gannon's all nervous. Got his he had a tie on with a windbreaker.
He actually took a shower that day before that, I think.
Well, we're all in this back room. Granted, we know these are. I was a sophomore. You're a senior. You're a junior. We're all back in this room. Gannon comes back in. He's already talking to him. He's coming back in to get us to go talk to the guy. He looks over there. And there's Bobby Jones there. There's a keg. He's trying to get a beer out of this keg. We're in high school. Gannon's having a heart attack.
Me and Boyd tapped
Oh,
it.
yeah, he tapped that keg, and we're like, what the hell? We're about ready to get kicked out of the CYO league, and he's over there tapping a keg.
Go for it all the way.
And then we brought us in, and the guy said, "You guys made a mockery or something game. You guys know what that means?" And we're all looking around like, "No." Only guy who knew was Sutner because he's like valedictorian or something. He gave the definition, but the rest of us had no idea what the guy was talking about. But that's some fun times. I'm Christian. Like I said, to me, Christian Park is more than just the Little League. To me, I played the football there. My school's called Christian Park 82, and then St. Bernadette.
It's the whole neighborhood.
It's just the neighborhood. And I mean, that's unbelievable.
I remember, I think it might have been your dad, but there was a story about St. Bernadette, and they were chasing a championship or something. You guys we talked about it earlier, had a good team there, man. And something happened, and I think your dad told John, said, "Thank God for the Protestants."
He told that to the priest after we won, after we won the championship, and they were giving out the awards. And my dad looked at the Priest. He goes, if it wasn't for these Protestants, because me and Hubbard and John Slaughter were didn't go to Burnett.
Right.
He goes, if it wasn't for these Protestants, you guys wouldn't have these championship teams. And the Priest looked right up at
Casey probably argued that, but
he goes, the priest. This is our 6th grade. Casey went on that team. The priest looks right at my dad and goes, I pray for you Protestants all the time.
Casey, tell about Gannon's. You was talking about it earlier before we got in here about the car he had and how it was just normal for the kids to go flying out of it.
Well, that was really more of a slab story, but I think he could probably elaborate on that a little bit more.
Well, St. Bernadette, 6th grade year baseball team. Well, we'd had practice at Bernadette, and then we had to be down at Christian Park by 5:30 or 5, whatever, for practice or games. Well, everybody on the Bernadette team, played at Christian Park. Well, Gannon would load about 5 or 6 of us to take down the park. We had to get down there, and Gannon had this car that he never knew when he came to a complete stop that it'd die and he couldn't get it started again. He'd have to get jumped or something. So he avoided any street that had a stoplight. So he would just do these rolling stops through stop signs and everything. Unfortunately, there was so we'd go down down Span and come across Knightsbridge and all that. Well, as you're coming towards the park down Pleasant Run towards the baseball fields, it's kind of an decline, and he's going. He would throw it in neutral and start scuffing the tires to get the speed off. And he'd go up in the grass, come back, go up in the grass.
NASCAR.
As we're getting closer, we're throwing our mitts, our cleats, whatever we got out the window. Then we'd open the door, and we were literally jumping out like paratroopers. I mean, we're 11 years old, 12 years old, just diving, rolling, and hitting the hill, and you roll down the hill. And the parents would be going, "Thanks, JG, for bringing our kids down, bringing us down to them, so they didn't have to come get us." But we would literally be jumping out of a moving car, and the parents would be thanking Gannon.
They'd have a cat. You'd go to jail now for that.
Oh yeah, Boomer. You can't. Yeah, you can go on. We can have, like I said, a whole episode of Boomer.
Oh yeah,
JG.
that's probably coming down the road here pretty soon. But the demographics on our community and right around there where we lived, I mean, we had a lot of little leagues. We talked about community, Forest Manor, what I call it now. But before I get on to what I'm getting ready to say, it just hit me. We're playing in an all-star game. I'm 11, Casey's 12. I'm at second base. Rodney Powers is at first. David Cravens gets up in the championship game of district.
Thanks a lot, Bob.
He hits a ball that lands on second base on the junior-senior field. And I didn't even turn around and look. I just looked over at Rodney Powers, and we just started laughing.
Who was pitching that game?
You. How far was that shot, Casey? Didn't somebody go measure it?
Well, I think Gannon did. I think what my claim to fame really on this was, more so than that, was I'm in the Little League World Series record book for giving up the longest home run.
Before the game starts, John always used to say, tell this story about Cravens walked up to him and goes, hey, what position you play? Gannon just looked at him like, what?
You talk about a man among boys.
Oh, gosh.
So, with that being said, about longest home run, what was the longest ball you ever saw hit at Christian Park that you personally saw?
Probably one of Gannon's nephews or East Tips.
Which diamond?
It don't matter. Longest home run you ever saw.
Johnny Queries over the pine tree.
Sean Atherton in the yard in the air across English Avenue.
Well, I was going Bruce Shaddiel, same thing, hit the house. With a wooden bat, boys.
Those
Wasn't none of
guys,
them high-powered aluminum bats they carry now. There's a wooden bat.
those guys did it.
And they hit that. He hit that house. It was my brother's first year in seniors. I think I was 11 year.
He played on the Rockets, wasn't
they
it?
were the A's. That's first year. Year they changed the A's, and they wanted that league. They had Robbie Benio, Bruce Shaddiel, my brother, Pat Gannon, John Roop, or
Dad was always real high on Mike Cruz.
Mike Cruz was on the Jets. He was on there with my brother Lefty. He pitched and played first base. He also, I think, led the league in most hidden ball tricks.
Really?
Picking people off at first base. He'd be playing first base and act like he throws it back to the pitcher and just smacks his glove, and somebody steps off and he tags and he makes you look like an idiot. So he did that several times.
Yeah, but like I said, Casey with his older brothers knew them guys from the early '70s, mid '70s. Like I said, my idol. I mean, to me, best player ever at Christian Park. In my opinion is Bruce Shaddiel, because that's who I look. I thought he was a god when I was a kid. I mean,
He's
you
when we
know,
went to high school, he was number 9. Yeah. Of course, he's a few years ahead of us. That's why I chose number 9 in high school, was because of Bruce.
Oh yeah,
Shaddy.
I remember everybody talking about Shaddy.
you'd go out there and he'd be like in Burnett's baseball field, just hitting balls in the fence, and he would we'd go out there and shag flies with him. We thought, oh man, this is like, playing with Pete Rose and all them when I was, you're like 11, he's like 15, but that's a big age difference. And he was just so good. What he was like, when he's City Athlete of the Year,
At least the candidate for Hal.
Yeah.
He may have.
What is he, varsity quarterback?
Varsity quarterback too.
Point guard.
Really, I didn't know that.
Point guard, and then baseball.
And very good kid, great family. Yeah. He has the pedigree.
Well, back when we played, what I was alluding to earlier was, you had a bunch of little leagues around us, had just as many kids playing as ours.
Yeah.
Just to give you kind of a comparison right now.
I think they were probably a little bigger.
Maybe. But we had 12 teams, softball, 4 minor, 4 major, 4 junior, seniors. We had, at one time, an A and B minor, 4 teams, then 6 in the majors. Then you had at least 4 to 6 junior, senior teams. Then you had at least 6 peewee teams. I did the math on it. It's up and over 400. Now, down the street at Brookside, Community, Garfield, you had just almost as many kids at those parks too. Yeah. So let's say Lowell, you add all those up, 4 times 5, you had 2,000 kids. Right now, I can tell you that we're lucky if we get 800 kids. That's how much of a difference in our generation to now. That's how much things have changed.
I know. They closed down Warren Little League. What, they had like 10 diamonds.
Yeah, they went over to Irvington.
Yeah, that's completely shut down now.
Yep.
Do you remember when they added all the girls softball to Christian Park?
No, I don't.
It's when we.
I know, I liked it.
That's what I was alluding to. When we were like 10 or 11 is when it started.
Yeah.
They had the pigeons, the owls, the falcons, the
Sparrows.
eagles, and all the sparrows, and they had like their major league and their senior league, and I really liked it because it brought more girls to the park.
Yeah, I liked Lisa Ransom and
Lisa
Pruitt.
Lisa Pruitt.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Beth Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. B, like I said, you had B minor and A minor. Back when we first got in, coach kids pitch was B. We were both B minors together.
Right.
I think you was out the White Sox. You were the Pirates or something like that.
We were the Pirates. Yeah. You guys were the Indians?
No, my first year I was White Sox.
Right.
And then my next year they went straight minor league, and then they put it,
Right.
I was the Tigers, and then.
Doug was on the champions, the Indians. Him and David Jackson.
Did y'all keep score back then?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We got beat in the championship game 4-3. I remember it.
I never played Pee Wee. I went straight to minor.
No, this was a.
You didn't. You went straight to minor. You didn't play any Pee Wees.
No, because we lived in Lawrence at the time, and we moved over to Christian Park in 1969, and I went straight to the Sluggers. It was my first team I was on.
Yeah. Second place, first year Pee Wees. Look back at it now. We had a pretty decent team, but we got beat by Jerry Suter and Mark Hubbard and. Look back at the team they had at the time.
Did Hubbard have a mustache then?
No, you talking about Pee Wees? wait a minute. You talking about Pee Wees?
Yeah.
My last year in Pee Wees, also I was the same age as Hubbard. We were purple and he was red. Remember they only had the POW club. It was POW club.
Right, exactly.
They went by colors. I was the purple team. We won it because I beat Hubbard. The only time I ever beat Hubbard.
Oh, because Gannon wasn't holding it back.
Yeah, he wasn't holding me back. Gannon wasn't there saying give the ball to Hubbard.
Remember that team that you and Ronnie Crease and Hubbard, my little brother Mark, was all on.
That basketball team.
That was a good little team.
And
you guys got to play on an 8-foot rim.
Yeah. No, I know it's 10-foot rim, I think.
No.
I don't remember.
I remember, trust me. Because I was like, man, I'd like to play on that.
I don't remember that.
I was just a little bit too old. But you guys had a good team. You guys dominated. Yeah. I told Mark, I said, it wasn't because you, brother. Yeah. He says, I know. He goes, but at least I was on the team.
Well, basketball was never my sport. I played it just because that's what you did.
We were role players on the basketball teams. Again, we're there to get fouls and entertain.
In my mind, I really believe they came to see me score, but they was probably shocked if I did score. That's why they wanted to be there. But
you was just really.
But and all kidding aside, my 6th grade year burned it. We're like division champs. It wasn't Hubbard averaged like 25 a game, 26 a game. No crap. While the rest of us, I might average 4. John Slaughter might average 3. Ronnie Creek. But we were good. But anytime the game was close, and that's what when I say this, everybody thinks I'm joking. Gannon would just look at us and goes, "Guys, you want to win this game? Give the ball to Hubbard." Just get the ball to Hubbard, and you'll win.
You know,
And Hubbard, and credit to him, his career winning percentage in all sports combined is probably 95%. He never hardly ever lost. But I just remember Robbie Fields, or was it Ronnie Crease, get the ball to Hubbard. That's what Gannett said. So Hubbard, nobody else can get the ball in, so Hubbard had to get the ball in, and we have to get. As soon as they threw the ball to Crease, Hubbard hadn't even got out of bounds yet. Back on the court, he threw it right back. Three times in a row, Gannon's losing his mind, of course, you know. And, yeah, but we, you know, like I said, I got to give credit to Hubbard. When he's on his team, you felt like you're probably going to win, you know. But you know, like I said, but we had some great. Everybody, you know, like you talk about how good Hubbard's going to win, but you had guys that, you know, hang with Hubbard real easy, like Kasey here, right here.
You know,
like I said,
we played
his senior year in high school, he led the city in home runs.
Well, I was going to say,
you know.
we played with a lot of good kids. Kasey was really good. But Hubbard, God, talk about a hitter. He could hit. I mean, you did real well too, Kasey, but
Hubbard was, obviously, the reason I made most of the teams I made, because I could hit and I pitched. Other than that, I couldn't field as well as anybody else out there, so I was a designated hitter, or they'd hide me in right field or something, if I wasn't pitching. But they wanted my bat in the lineup. But I always batted behind Mark, because Mark would get the bases loaded, and I knocked Mark in, or and whoever else. But Mark was a great base hitter with power. I was a power hitter that occasionally got base hits, But there wasn't anything.
Hubbard
Mark
never
couldn't do.
hardly ever struck out. That's what made him
Well,
such a good player.
I told you, like our senior year, I had all the stats.
didn't he go for like a year or two without striking out at Christian Park?
Could have been. Yeah.
I remember Dad saying something.
Great
about
eye,
that.
it could see well, and
I mean, just hit the ball on a rope out every
Absolutely.
time. Line drive. Whoa.
Yeah, but it's, back when we were 12, I could put pictures of us all. We're all sitting there in a group picture. He was a foot taller than all of us. I mean, he had a mustache. I think all of us combined had 3 hair on their arms. He
matured a lot sooner than all of us.
He was bigger and stronger than all of us. But the dude. I mean,
he was the rock star at the time, and we all hung out with him because the girls followed him. So we might get some leftovers. So.
It's true.
But yeah, like each year, each year has their stars, and I think in our 12-year-old year and 15-year-old year, Hubbard was probably the man of the league.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, just like when McCarty was a 12-year-old, he was the stud of the team. When Shaddy was 12, everybody had their. Kasey's 12. He's right there.
Into my sophomore year, going into my junior year that summer, that's when we took that picture. That summer at Hubbard's house, the wiffle ball pitcher.
Yeah.
Me and Hubbard had driver's ed together, and I got to go to Hal for that summer. That was a really good summer, but I would drive us out to wherever we was going to practice, and Mark would bring us home. But I got to know Mark a little bit different than just Christian Park baseball that summer. But that was pretty cool because then we'd come home from summer school and we'd stop at Hubbard's and go swimming or play wiffle ball.
Oh yeah.
But that was a heck of a summer.
A lot of wiffle ball games in his front yard. But,
Oh man. Yeah, we was talking in our neighborhood. The last episode, we'd play straight base. They'd have us play straight base. You hit the ball, you run straight, and then come back. And foul balls are out. Dad would always make up rules. Well, we didn't like that rule, but he'd make us play it. But he always kept it. Dad, he just always had something up his sleeve.
Yeah.
Let me tell you another Greg Coward story. Dad would go off on the weekends and, go preach and stuff. And he told me one weekend, he said, Bobby, he goes, it was my 12-year-old year. He goes, I'm going out of town this weekend. He goes, I want you to go watch tryouts. I said, okay. He goes, I get back Sunday. He goes, we'll talk. I said, okay, cool. He gets back and he goes, okay, sit down. Let's talk about it. He goes, what did you see? I said, first pick, I said, take Rick Weaver. I said, nobody knows about him. He just moved in from Texas. I said, he didn't go to tryouts. I said, get him. Don't let nobody else get him. We had 6th pick. Because we had 5th pick or 4th pick. We didn't win that year. And I think it was the Braves. But he got him. Then he come back and got Query. But I told him, I said, whatever you do, Dad, I said, do not take this big boy kid. He goes, who are you talking about? I said, his name's Greg Coward. He goes, well, why don't you want me to take him? I said, I don't like him. He goes, what do you mean you don't like him? I said, well, he goes to school 21. He goes, you guys get in a fight? Something wrong with him? I go, no, I just don't like him. He goes, okay. So he comes back. The draft's over. He comes back. And I go, okay, Dad, who'd you get? He goes, well, I got Weaver. He goes, I took Query second. He goes, and I got a bunch of young guys. He goes, I got Mike McGinley. I got Greg Abella. He goes, oh, yeah, I got that Coward kid. Thank God. I said, Dad, what'd you pick him? He goes, just because you told me not to. But Dad was always teaching a lesson one way or another.
And you know what? When you're young and the elders, tell you and teach you things, and you're like, yeah, right, old dude or old lady or whatever the case may be. And now when you look back, you're like, oh, my God, he was right. They're right. So there's an old adage, baseball is a lot like life. And it is.
It is.
They weren't just teaching us to play a game and how to get along with each other. They were teaching us about life. And that's back when you could do the school of hard knocks and you could do it with tough love, not unlike today. And that's why, looking back at your dad and a lot of the other elders that were there at the park, I really look up to them now even more than ever because I'm like, oh, they were right, So we become our parents basically and things like that. So.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm just sitting there thinking of different stories. This is not a big league story. We're all on a team, big league together. You remember when we played at Howe, they didn't have bathrooms. And we'd always go by that garage. If you had to use the restroom, relieve yourself. Well, Keith Ransom goes back in there and
Drops a deuce?
Does his business, whatever, comes walking back. My dad, at the time was a police officer. And that old guy came walking on the field, screaming about players pissing in his yard. He's tired of it and all this stuff. And my dad had to pull his badge out. He guys call the police. My dad pulls his badge. He goes, I am the police. If you don't get the hell out of here, you're going to jail. The guy just walked off. And then, I think, was it Warren or Beech Grove when Godsey had that issue with that player on the other team over a girl?
It was the Beech Grove team, and it was at Howe.
Yeah. And they were chirping on Gannon real bad. No. The Warren guy was chirping on Gannon because they're saying our field's a home run field. And Gannon was so mad he walks back. Gotsey was off the team by this is our second year.
Oh, okay.
And Gannon's like, I'm tired of this crap. Them guys running their mouths. Let's go over there and kick their ass. Blah blah this. Blah blah that. Gotsey's grabbing a bat. He's not even on the team. And my dad's like, no,
that's the tech in him.
And everybody's getting geared up to go fight. And my dad comes in and goes, damn it, Gannon. Do not provoke these young men to go fight or whatever, boys or men to fight. Blah, blah. And Gannon gets all mad. And Gannon was always respectful to our parents. Because he was only 10 years older than us. So he was
right.
My dad could have been his dad, And so, Mr. Kelh, I tell you what. You go over there and coach third. Because if I go back over there, there's going to be a fight. And my dad looked at Gannon and goes, let me show you how a mature adult handles things. So my dad walks over there. Next inning, he goes over and coach third. Third out, we're change side. My dad comes walking in, looks at everybody in the dugout and goes, go kick their damn asses. Gannon's like, wait. That had him so fired up. Or when Gannon and Bob McKenzie got into it. Remember?
Which time?
Big Bob.
Big Bob.
Big
Bob.
He
would just.
Big Bob.
Big Bob would just do everything he could to
I remember in
aggravate
basketball, Bobby Bear Crawl time.
Bobby, he would do something stupid on purpose so he could do Bobby Bear Crawl time. And Gannon and Mikey Lorenzano would take basketballs and just be smoking him as he's going. Bobby's a wrestler. Wrestlers are not all there, And, you think about it.
We're going to get some feedback on that one.
No, think about it.
McKinley's, if you're listening to this, it wasn't me.
You're not going to tell. Honestly, McGinley's, think about it. If you're a wrestler, you're not all there. You're not all there. I'm telling you.
Oh shit.
It takes a special breed to be a wrestler. They're not. They're a little touched.
Yeah.
They don't care.
I've got a lot of respect for that
No,
sport.
they don't care. That's the whole thing. Bobby didn't care. They were tough. They're tough. They're just,
Right.
they're
just
just,
you to the ground.
But I just remember Bobby Bear Crawl. But Gannon and him were going at it, and Gannon threw a baseball at Bobby in the dugout. Bobby, missed him, and Bobby's making fun of Gannon because he missed him. But, some good old times there. Just idiots. You think about stuff we did. How did we live through all that? We didn't wear helmets when we rode bikes. You remember driving that? You remember the hill down there by the minor league diamond? Mm-hmm. You'd fly down that thing, and had that little bump there, and you'd go get airborne.
I remember one time after All-Star practice, we were all in the back of Fred Kane's truck, and this was Senior League. and he's taking everybody home. So there's 10 of us, in the back of his big old green GMC C10 or Chevy C10 or whatever. And we're going down Emerson Avenue by those apartments, if you know which ones I'm talking about, south on Emerson Avenue, south of the railroad track.
Oh yeah.
Tim Schuster's taking
That was called Graveyard or Zuniville. I can't remember. Which one.
that was a graveyard. I think
Graveyard.
Zuniville's the other one.
Yeah.
Tim Schuster takes some of the baseballs out of Fred's duffel bag in the back of the equipment bag. And we're driving the car or the truck at 30, 40 miles an hour while he's flinging these baseballs at people, So there's, I can't do the math because, I'm public school educated, but, that's an 80 or 90 mile an hour throw at somebody.
Wow.
Fred stops the truck. He's like, stop that right. You're going to kill somebody. And Schuster's like, all right, it's cool. Old Tim Schuster.
What's the old saying? Bet that.
Well, guys, we're gonna wrap up, but I definitely think we probably need part 2 of this. You guys agree?
Absolutely.
We'll bring everybody back and we'll do a part 2. But I really want to thank you guys for coming. It's been great reminiscing and just you guys being here and talking about Christian Park. And just want to thank you. Thank you, Doug, Scott, Kasey.